Hi, this is Gary D. Tonicourt from morethanasnapshot.com. If you'd like to join my photography class, please go to my website and check out the description of the class. You'll find that you'll get lots of videos and worksheets to help you learn digital photography. Plus, every week you'll get these weekly critiques of your photos. So, I would also like to start this week's critiques. And we have some very nice images. We'll start with this student who was working with focus, and we have a very nice image of a close-up of a flower. And you'll notice when you work with macro photography or close-ups that you have very limited depth of field, which means that you have a shallow depth of focus. You have a little bit in focus, and then it very quickly, you can see out by these petals, it's already starting to go out of focus and more as we head out on both sides. So I think in this particular case, you used it well. I like the composition. You do have a nice focus area right here in the middle, and then the focus falls off, which makes a nice effect. I think maybe you could have used a little more depth of field. I don't know what f-stop you took this image at, but if it had maybe just a little more depth of field to get maybe these petals in focus and then let it fall off after, that might have worked well also. But overall, I really like this image, and good job. Here we have the same person working with focus again. I think in this image it's a little tougher to tell what exactly is in focus. If I had to say, it looks like the really deep inside the flower. Um, and most of the rest of the image is out of focus. But it's still kind of a cool image. But I don't really see a clearly defined subject, a clearly defined sharp area. And I think that all this top area is kind of not needed, so this would be an image I would crop. You know, you can crop to whatever degree that you want, and maybe something a little bit like this. I like it in black and white though, and the image is kind of appealing with the soft tones of black and white, so it's pretty good. Now this, we have some nice flowers that we do have some areas that are really in focus, and then we have some other versions of the flowers back here that are out of focus, nicely blurred out. And I think you did a really good job with the focusing on this one. You can very clearly, sharply see all the things that are in focus. And it's interesting to see into the flowers. Overall, as a composition, though, I don't think that it really works that well. When you're making a shot with some random flowers like this, you want to look for some sort of a pattern, some sort of a shape, and these are just sort of random. So I think maybe that's the one place where this image is a little bit lacking. But good job on the exposure, good job on the focusing. Now just keep looking for interesting compositions. All right, here we have some baby images, and there were a few people that put up a series of images, and I kind of picked out the ones that I thought were better. Some were just snapshots, and we're trying to go past the snapshot here with more than a snapshot, and look for shots that are a little more planned, a little more set up, and so this one's very cute, and it looks like it was a little more set up than some of the others. If we zoom in a little, well, we can't zoom in, the picture's not big enough. I would suggest when you submit images that you can submit full-size JPEGs if you want. It makes it a bit more easy for us to zoom in and check them out. Also, when you export your JPEGs, if you don't strip out the EXIF data, we will be able to see how you took the shot. So that could be helpful as well. I think on this shot maybe could use a little bit of cropping, and we probably don't need to see all of that. We can come down a little tighter. It's interesting that you had all three babies looking sort of in the same direction, which is tough to do anytime you photograph kids, so that was kind of cool. Um, and I'm sure that the parents and grandparents of these babies would love this shot. Working in the house, yeah, you probably had to use a high ISO. We can see a little bit of noise in there, but unless you're using lighting, that's going to happen. If you're going to take a lot of shots indoors in low lighting conditions, it would help to either use a very fast lens, like you could get the 50mm f1.8 or something like that, where you have a very wide maximum aperture and it lets in a lot of light for shooting in these dark conditions. Also, you could use flash, and the best way to do that would be if you could put your flash off camera on a stand, maybe shoot it through a softbox or something like that, and you'll get much nicer light on your subjects than having the flash on the camera. So just some tips to try. The other thing you could do is set this up near an open window, not an open window, but set it up sort of near a window where the light's coming through the window, and maybe have a soft curtain over the window so that the window acts like a giant softbox. Then maybe use a white card on the opposite side as a reflector to bounce some light back in, and you'll have nice lighting. The lighting in this image is not bad. I see catch lights in the eyes. It just probably wasn't very bright. That's why you had a higher ISO. And yeah, overall pretty good. Then you went for some other detailed shots, and I think that was a good idea. And of all the little hand shots you had, this was the one that I liked, so I picked out this one. The one thing that sort of distracts me was something up here. And this black space up here, we really would want to be more focused on the hand. So I would crop this image, and you could keep it a vertical, or you could even make it into a horizontal. I probably went a little too close. You don't want to come that close to the fingers. You got to give a little bit of room, especially if you plan on matting it and framing it or something like that. You want to give it a little extra room so that you have room for your mat to sit over the picture. And I think maybe even as a horizontal, this might work better. Let's flip it around. Whoops. I can't flip it around. One by one. Oh, let's make it a square. That would work too. Alright, just trying to get it back straight. And yeah, I think I like it as a square. It's a cute shot, very cozy looking. The warm light could probably be adjusted a little bit. If you like it warm, that's fine. If we don't want to go too cold, so we want to find a spot where it looks natural, and trying to find that spot without having too much of a yellow or an orange tone. So I think that looks good. And I would crop this image a bit too. We don't need to see the floor. And we probably don't even need to see quite so high, although the hands are kind of an interesting part of the picture. So let's try something like that. A little bit better. And we'll see the before and after to see just a little bit of a difference in sort of a yellowish tone here, and there's no yellow tone here. Now I included this image not because it was a good image, but because there was a focus problem. You can see that the stuff back here looks like it's in focus just fine, and the child up front is not in focus. And that could be either that you just missed focus, maybe you had the wrong focus point on, or more likely when the subject comes too close to the lens, you are past the minimum focusing distance. The camera can't focus that close. So that's probably what happened in this image. This was a series of snow and tree images, and some of them were sort of just like snapshots and stuff that weren't as good as I liked this one out of the bunch, and so that's why I picked this one. You must have used a flash on the branch because the branch is brighter and evenly lit, and that makes the background darker. So I kind of like that overall effect. Darkening the background really does focus us on the branch and the snow, and then we see some shadow zones. And I like the composition of the branch coming in, filling the frame, and we have our eye sort of moves left to right on here, and it's nice and sharp, and the exposure is pretty good. Let's see, maybe we could pick up the midtones a little bit. No, because that kind of ruins some of the darkness to the background. So I guess it's good right where it is. So not bad. Here we had another snow image, and I liked this one because it shows an interesting composition that you'll see a lot in landscape photography. Some people call it the near-far composition. So we have some interest in the foreground that's near us, and then some interest in the background here. I think there's a lot of empty, sort of wasted space on this side, so I probably would crop in a little bit on that side. And it's also good that we have 3 little branch points here, and they're sort of arranged in a triangle, and that makes a nice compositional element. And the triangle even sort of points to the background. The background is out of focus. And I think it works well for this shot. You could try it with more depth of field to see what it looks like with both of them in focus, but I have a feeling that this was probably the better way to do it. So it's a nice juxtaposition from the foreground to the background. As far as the exposure goes, the exposure is all looking good, and the image is very sharp. So it was well done. Now here there were some snow blowing images, and these were nice storytelling images. I kind of felt that this was the better one of the bunch, and I selected that one. And I just like it. I like the snow falling and the snow being blown, and it looks very blizzardly out there, so good job. And here, of all those other images that you picked of the shots in the yard, again, those were just kind of like snapshots, but I picked this one out as being a little bit more interesting and much better storytelling, because you can really tell here that it's not only snowing, it's snowing and windy, and it's so bad that you can see the snow is going sideways. So I thought that was great. And also we get a sense of the depth of the snow. And you really did a good job with your exposure, because we can see nice white snow, and it's very easy to get the exposure wrong on snow where it's not white. It's often your camera will make it look 18% gray if you don't increase the exposure, sometimes by as much as a stop, and sometimes maybe even a little more. So good job on the exposure and the storytelling in this image also. Here we have a new student doing their self-portrait, and I think that this one's just great. The lighting is nice, the storytelling is great. I love seeing the artwork down at the bottom, and oftentimes I'll say it's not good to have something bright in the background because it takes away from your face, but your face is pretty bright too, so and it is at a nice diagonal. I still really kind of don't like seeing the bright light there, but I like the effects the light is having in the picture a lot. It's creating a nice highlight on the artwork, and we can even see, since it's a tungsten light, that it's creating sort of an orange glow here, and it's even giving you some orange highlights in your hair, but it's not so orange that we need to worry about recolor balancing it. It's just giving us a nice warm tone. So white balance and exposure and sharpness, all of those things are done very well, and the storytelling is done very well. So I'm really liking this image a lot. The one thing that I would want to get rid of is this little sign back here on the left side. It's got words on it, and that tends to draw our eye out of the picture. Now you could crop that, or you could clone that out. I think we do have a lot of room back here where we could possibly crop it out. So let's give that a try first. And we still want to keep all that stuff about the art at the bottom. And yeah, and I think that even moves your eyes a little more into the third of the picture, not quite so much in the center. So maybe something like that. Maybe not so much. Let's see. I'll back that off a bit. Yeah. I like having a little bit more room over there, but we don't need to see that little sign. Good job. Welcome to the class. Here we had a nice little attempt at an artistic shot shooting into the mirror, and I love it when you make these creative experiments, and you did a good job. Here we can see the blur of the road, and then into the mirror and what's behind the car. So you can see in front and behind, and it was a great attempt. And it's interesting in black and white. It's a good idea that you did it in black and white, because now the colors in the image are not distracting us, and we can, focus on the shapes and what's going on in the story. And it's also cool that it's sort of a curve to the line here leading us to the other cars. I think the one problem sort of that I would say is you did get it in focus, because you can see the words are nice and sharp and clearly in focus. But nothing in the reflection is in focus. And that could be because you needed more depth of field. So you would have to try a smaller f-stop, like I don't know, F11, F16, something like that, and see if that helps with that problem. But a good attempt. As far as the histogram goes, the histogram's looking pretty good. We may be able to pump it up a little bit. It may be lacking a little punch. Now that added a bit of contrast to the image. We just have to watch out. We've got one little highlight that on the car here. We could selectively take that down with the brush tool, just so that that stuff is not too bright and distracting. And I think it gives it a little more pop having that be a little bit brighter. Yeah, you can see the difference there. Oftentimes very subtle changes in your image editing software are what's needed. If you go too drastic, it looks funny. Here we have another new student doing their self-portrait. And again, another great one. We've got a lot of new great students that have started the class. Great storytelling image, because she's showing us that she's a hockey player. And she's got her equipment on. I really like it in black and white. It really simplifies the image. And let's see. Looks like it is in focus just fine. And nice smiling expression, good composition. We've got, two things here that are balancing the image. Let's take a look about adding maybe a little bit of contrast. I think a little bit of contrast helps on her face, but is not really working for the black parts of the image very well. So I will leave the contrast alone there. I wonder if I could, what would it would look like if I just tried painting in a little bit of contrast just in the face. Yeah, I'm kind of liking that effect, so I'd add just a little bit of contrast there. And let's see the before and after just to see if that was really helpful or not. Whoops. Yeah, I think it brings out the difference between the highlights and the shadows much better. This is the after side, and that's the before side. It looks a little bit gray and muddy before, and looks a bit cleaner after. But that, again, a small adjustment that as you learn your image editing software, that you'll learn to pick up. So great job, and welcome to the class. I really like that self-portrait. Here we have a really cool image. I guess it's called Locks of Love. And the locks on the fence really make a nice pattern. And I think the pattern is the shot here. So you didn't need the sky, especially since it's bright. That's the thing we definitely want to get rid of. And we don't really need to see this cement down here at the bottom. So it just needs a crop. And you can pick anywhere for the crop. We could even make it a horizontal if we wanted. It's the pattern of the locks that's the interesting thing, and she sent us a small image so we can't see it all very big, but I think that oh yeah, with the crop we can't see the before and after of the crop. So just my opinion, I like just seeing the pattern of the locks. We didn't need to see the sky at the top or the cement at the bottom. The story was the pattern of the locks and the writing that's on it and all those things, showing why people have put those locks there. And it also makes a cool pattern shot. So good job, good eye looking for it. Now you just need to hone your eye for getting a good composition out of it. I really like this one too. Here we have a compositional element where the line is guiding our eye to infinity. Again, it's just to hone this composition a little. It does lead us to this little hill or mountain, whatever it is in the background, but we don't see a whole lot of it. And then it's good to see some blue sky, but there's a lot of empty nothingness going on up there. So we might try cropping that down some. It's fine the way it is. It's a nice image. Good job on the exposure. It's not really overexposed. Maybe I'd take down the highlights just a touch. And it was shot during the time of a day where it's not very interesting light, but considering the light's not very interesting, you did get a good shot of it. And let's see what it looks like if we crop it down a little into more of a panel, like it was a panorama or something. So that's another version of it. We could probably even go a little bit lower, but I think that helps focus our eye on the path leading to that hill in the background. Here we have again a sort of another a path taking us out to infinity back here, with the water line, this pathway going right back here to these buildings. So I like that. I like the way you have that composition. For this kind of composition to work, you do have to be directly straight in front of the path that you're working with, and you seem like you're a little bit off to the right. It might be interesting to see this shot if you were standing a little bit more to the left, so we're a little bit straighter down this little alleyway. It's interesting to see the boats and the buildings and all that stuff. I think the exposure is fine. The sky is quite boring. To make it a more impactful shot, the things you could try would be to shoot it at the blue hour before the sky gets black, or shoot some star trails so that there's something interesting going on in the background here. Again, this is more than a snapshot, so we're trying to push the image to make it really stand out. so it's something that you might want to hang on the wall, on a wall in your home or somewhere else. Also, the lights in the shot, at least these lights here, have a bit of a yellow tone to them, and this is, part of the problem with modern photography. We have a lot of different kind of light bulbs now, so it looks like a person over here is using a daylight balanced light bulb. We don't see that yellow orange glow. And over here we have a person who's using a regular tungsten light bulb, and we have that yellowish orange glow over here. And so it doesn't really match very well in the image. But what you can do in Lightroom is take the brush tool and then go to our temperature slider, and we'll take away some of that yellow. First thing we need to do is figure out, by painting over this light and then adjusting the white balance, where is the spot where it's going to look normal, look less yellow but not blue. Alright, so let's say that's not bad. And then paint in those other areas where the light is hitting. For some reason it's also making it darker, but I don't have the exposure turned down, or making it seem like it's darker. Alright, and then there's probably some tungsten light back here. Let's see, if we put it over here it makes it too blue, so I'm going to go to the eraser tool and take that off that boat that I did over there. And then we'll come back up to this brush and try to fine-tune that a little bit. We don't want it to be too yellow but not too blue, and it's really hard to see in this one where it's matching. Well, certainly that's closer. That's better than it was. If we take a look at the before and after. Oops, I just need a different kind of before and after. And you can see a difference in the color temperature and the light here. And maybe I'll try stacking it on top of each other. Yeah, that way we can see it a little bit better. So here we can see that we toned down the yellow and orange, even on things like the cars and the boats. And it looks a little closer to what's going on this side of the street, so to speak. And the only thing that looks far out is this light is really not as yellow as those. I guess we could paint in and try to make this one a little more yellow to match there. Let's give that a shot. I'm going to come to the brush again and make sure I have a new brush, and this time I'm going to increase the temperature a little bit, and I'll paint both those highlights, and I'll try adding a little bit of yellow, just a touch. Alright, so knocking down the yellow on this side and then increasing the yellow a little bit on this side sort of balances it out a little bit. And again, though, even though it's a good image, I think that we need something interesting in the sky. Either more of a blue sky or some sort of a star trail shot. Alright. Oop, I'm zoomed in. Alright, here we have a nice portrait. I've seen a lot of the portraits done by this person online, and she's very technically proficient. She's very good with portraits, and I really like this one. It's well done. The background is blurred out. We have really nice sharp eyes, and you can see they were using off-camera lighting, some sort of an umbrella or something going on. We can see that catch light in the eyes is nice, and I like the composition, a tight crop, and we can see the interesting earrings and everything, showing sort of more of the personality of the person, and you captured a good expression and a nice smile. The head tilt gives us again a little more interest to our composition. You can see the eyes have this angle to them, so I really like this one. Um, as a suggestion, you might want to check out some tips and tutorials about skin retouching, because you could eliminate certain blemishes and soften the skin. And if you do it in the right way, you can also maintain the structure. You might check out a guy called, the name of his website is called Vibrant Shot, and he does all kinds of tutorials about skin retouching. For example, just something simple. If you zoom in, you can use the spot removal tool for a small blemish. And when you do that, it shoots out an extra little circle here. And if it looks good, just automatically, sometimes Lightroom does a good job of cloning. If not, you can click on the little second little circle and drag it to somewhere new where it might do a better job of covering whatever you were trying to cover. And then if you close it, now you don't see that little blemish at all. So if it were me doing this image, I would go through it and pick out every little spot and then cover it up. And when you retouch some stuff like this, people might say, well, that's part of the person that you're shooting. Maybe that's what they want to see. It's who they are. You don't want to take away who they are. Well, that's true for things that are a normal part of their face. Like if you had a mole or a freckle or something like that, you want to leave all those things there. But if it's an obvious blemish, like the one that we took out over there, that it's not normally there, then that would be something that you probably would want to take out. And we're trying to make people look the best that they can, and that will help. But overall on the shot, great job, and I'd like to see more. And I believe that's the last image. So great job this week, guys. Keep it up. I want to see some more great images for next week. And just remember, if you are not part of my class and you would like to get some great tutorials and worksheets and have your images critiqued, you can join my class at morethanasnapshot.com. Thanks, and see you again next week.